Hey guys, this is Kenny from the Level With You channel. Just here to let you guys know if you guys want to come chat with us, we got a Discord server up and running. Link is in the description below. You could give us some feedback, ask us questions, just interact with us or in general. You can also find us on social media platforms. Instagram, we're LVL with you. Twitter, we're Level With You. And on Facebook, you could search Level With You. Hope you guys enjoy the show. Stay level.
Hey, what's going on, y'all? Welcome to the Level With You show, a weekly video game podcast where we all get together and talk about, you guessed it, video games. Today, I'm joined by, to my left, Kenny Castro.
Hey guys, what's up? How's it going?
And to my right, Anthony Duart.
How's it going?
It's going good for me. And over there, we've got Tyler Hadley, the producer with all the plans.
Another show in the making. Guys, what have we done so far?
Well, let's see. I woke up. I had breakfast. I went to work. I went to Panera to have lunch. And then I pooped like 4 or 5 times throughout my shift. And now I'm here.
All right.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a problem. I think I'm just regular. That's what I'm telling myself is I'm just regular.
That's your regular?
Like 5 or 6 is regular.
Okay.
I'm a little backed up today, so I was like 4.
Yeah.
5
or 6 is regular?
Yeah, for me,
No,
usually.
I'm like 2, maybe.
2? You know, everybody's
2 or
like, yo,
3.
what the fuck's wrong with you?
Around the 4, that's where I'm at.
There you go.
Okay, well,
All right.
I'm going to split the difference at 3. Okay.
So I'm going to take a gander and say that you wanted the answer to be we went past 100 subscribers.
100 subscribers on
100
YouTube.
subscribers, yeah. So thank you for that. Well, now we have our own URL. You can find us at youtube.com/c/levelwithyou. A little bit easier to remember than whatever 150 characters it was before. A couple other things I want to mention before we get into it. We have a Discord. You will find details on how to join in the description of the video. You can also find us on podcast services, Podcast Addict, iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify. And did I say SoundCloud? I think I did. All right, so let's get into it, y'all. How's your week been going? It's time for banter.
Oh, banter. It's been good. Start playing World of Warcraft.
Now let's save the gaming stuff for a couple minutes from now. All right.
It was pretty good.
All right. So Saturday night we got together and we played a little bit of a board game. This board game.
Save the gaming stuff for later. I'm joking. I'm joking.
I know.
That was fun.
Yeah, it was fun. But
I love that game.
You love that game?
I really do. I mention it all the time. I'm like, yeah, I want to play that game.
Okay, so we played the House on Haunting Hill. Is that what it's called?
Betrayal House on the Hill.
Yeah.
Betrayal at the House on the Haunted Hill. Betrayal at the Haunted House.
I always get the name of this game wrong.
It's too long.
Yeah. It's
I swear it's Betrayal at House on the Hill.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's that.
Okay, cool.
But I always call it House on Haunted Hill or something like that.
That's what I think I've heard you refer to.
Yes.
I think Tyler calls it Betrayal at House on the Haunted Hill. That's what he calls it.
My dad's gonna come home early and then beat me because the house is all different tiles you have to place.
So one more time, what's it called?
Betrayal
At the
House on the Hill.
Yes, we'll go with that one.
Okay.
Whatever we call
Google
it. Whatever.
some form of that if you're interested. But anyway, so I think you should have a new rule for game night. If you're going to come over and play, you need to go on YouTube and watch 15 minutes of tutorials so we're not spending half the time trying to figure out what the hell we're doing.
I think the hardest part was just because the game splits halfway through when you get hainted. You have to like choose your own adventure. It's like, oh, what did you get? This scenario with this scenario. So X plus Y. So then you have 2 books. They gave one to Wiley, who ended up being our betrayer, who was trying to kill the rest of the group.
I did so bad once I became the killer.
You did way better than the first person. One was like we played with Matt years ago, and Matt was just like, "I'm gonna go drink gin and tonic instead."
Oh yeah,
not
he just
play.
gave up. He's like, this is too much.
I can't read.
do this.
I forgot how to read.
That was what I was tempted to do. But I stuck with it. I was like,
Yes,
come on,
you
you
did.
can
You
do
were a
this.
trooper. You were good.
Yeah,
You're
I was
definitely
like,
a trooper.
I read that shit like 4 times.
You're like, what the fuck do
about
I do?
all the new rules.
I honestly thought Wiley was gonna kill me in the basement. I was like, "Fuck!"
That's why I
in
ran
the
away.
basement by myself with Wiley and like another cannibal, and I'm like, "He's about to come for me." That's why everybody was like, "Why are you still exploring the basement?" In reality, I was running away from Wiley.
No, you were looking for a Wendy's. Don't lie. You were looking for a Wendy's down
See,
there.
I go chicken.
You were just like, I'm gonna go find the Wendy's in the basement, and I was like, I'll join you, but now I have a dog.
Oh man, yeah. So I didn't like it quite as much as what's that other one, the Cosmic Encounters.
Yes.
I mean, I would agree that Cosmic Encounters is a superior board game compared to that.
What's that?
And I'll need to buy it because Dan owns it, and he's not here all the time.
Yeah.
And I love that game.
Yeah, that one's super awesome. I mean, we can't get into the rules of it, but
Yeah.
it's got all types of different
What's the
elements.
premise? Like,
There's-
what's the overall?
There's like 120
Galaxy
different, or like
supremacy.
80 different aliens.
Ooh.
And each alien has a different alien power.
Let's get on Pokemon
and-
levels. I like it already.
And you keep the power secret until you want to use it.
Ooh, trap card.
And the object of the game is to land your planets onto or your ships onto other people's planets.
Mm-hmm.
You land 5 ships on 5 different planets, you win the game.
Oh, that's awesome. So it's like a conquest.
And then there's
Yep.
cards that you have. They have like encounter cards, like effect cards, and every time you go to try to invade somebody, you play an encounter card against each other. And if you win, then you get to go on their planet. If you lose ships, and it's just kind of a whole thing where other people are playing cards like on other people's like encounters because they don't want somebody else to win or
So it's
move
like a
forward,
chaotic
and-
Monopoly in a way, almost.
Yeah,
but
sort
more
of.
It's a
fun.
much better
Much
Monopoly.
better.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
Yeah,
That
so-
sounds like a lot of fun.
I remember my first
I'd love
time
to play
playing
that.
it. I was like trying to get the grasp of it, and I think I pulled off like a nice little switcheroo on Dan.
That was the first time we ever met, I think.
Yeah, the first time we met was
Yeah.
that game night, and I was like, "So is this? Can I play this after this?" And he was like, looked at me. I was like,
Yeah, there's so many things to like screw people over in that game.
It's definitely one where you got to be a little conniving, but at the same time be open to teamwork. But not,
Yeah, but
Right.
like I'll betray you secretly. My fingers were crossed the whole time.
Yeah.
Freak
yeah.
you.
And then there's negotiate cards. If 2 people play negotiate cards, then they have like 60 seconds to negotiate. Like, oh, we'll let you on my planet if I let you on my planet.
you can't cross this line.
Or like we'll trade a card or something, or other stuff like that.
So yeah, that's Cosmic
That's awesome.
Encounters.
I'll have to check it out.
It's a board game that we all like, except for Anthony, who hasn't played it.
Yeah, I'm a loser.
So we got some games to talk about this week. We're going to be getting into Control, the new game from Remedy, which I've been playing a good amount of. Kenny finished up Fire Emblem, so we'll hear about that. Tyler finished up Bloodstained, so... Oh, you did?
I'm on the final boss.
Oh, shit. Okay, well, he's
Can't beat
getting
it.
there.
"Is that the one from Saturday?"
Yep,
Oh man.
the one from
And-
Saturday.
I had a little impulse purchase, but I'll keep that as a surprise for later in the show. And Anthony, did you beat Persona 5?
The last boss. I beat the last
You
boss.
didn't do the last part yet, dude?
No, but I beat the
my
last
God.
boss. It was okay. It was Thursday night, and I had just been playing for like 6 hours. I was like, I'm gonna get through this last dungeon, but then the last dungeon is more of a last dungeon.
So that was Thursday.
And you didn't think
Today's
you're done with
Tuesday.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just didn't do that. I started playing World of Warcraft. You know how that is. It just
Oh,
takes
man.
up some time.
He's down the rabbit hole.
Well, I'm disappointed in you.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry I couldn't live up to your expectations.
Yeah, well.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry I couldn't further our social link this week.
It's
Next
okay.
week, I swear.
Yeah, you're definitely like not at level 10 right
No,
now.
no.
No, you're like a maybe 6.
6?
Yeah.
You feel like your bond with Wiley will strengthen soon.
That's all it says.
It's in a little flat bubble, and it just doesn't say anything else. That's going to be the next like 5 episodes.
All right, so I want to talk about Control. This is the new, big $60 single player only, no microtransactions game from Remedy, developers of Max Payne, of what else? Quantum Break, Alan Wake for the Xbox 360. So sort of weirder and experimental games that have had varying degrees of critical and I think financial success. Probably, I don't know if they've ever reached the peak that was the original Max Payne back in the early 2000s. But I'm really enjoying Control so far. So it's kind of like a supernatural premise. They don't give a whole lot away in terms of what's going on. It's kind of got a David Lynchy feel, which is the Twin Peaks director, where everything's not quite explained. And it also just has that sort of eerie tone to it, which I really dig the vibes of. You also get a little bit of, X-Files, like government conspiracy covering stuff up. So the whole game takes place in a location that's called the Oldest House, which is a building where the Federal Bureau of Control operates out of. And it's one of those buildings that you can only find if you're looking for it, which, is just one of the silly things that they kind of sci-fi things that they throw in there.
The lore.
Yeah. So the whole game takes place in there, and you think that would make it feel small, but man, this is one of the biggest locations, at least inside, in a video game ever, if not the biggest ever. Like, it is so vast, this building that has all these different sectors, all these different rooms that have some of them extremely high ceilings, some of them feel a little bit more cramped. They do really cool things with the environment because partially it's been overtaken by this virus that's called the hiss that is very mysterious, that's overtaking people and making them crazy and levitate in the air.
Whoa.
And it's all just sort of, I'd say I'm probably 60, 70% done with the campaign based on what I've read, but there's still a lot more that I want to know. A lot of the story is uncovered in audio logs, video logs, redacted government reports, which are kind of humorous. The things that they redact, you kind of have to fill in the blanks. They do a pretty good job of like incorporating humor that way. So yeah, there's some things that the game does really well. It's certainly not perfect. I am playing on a base PS4, which I hear is the worst place to play the game. The frame rate in times of intense combat drops to a really, really poor level, like where you're getting in, it feels like the teens and even the single digits. And at this point, I've gotten like a little bit used to it, where I can kind of just
compensate for the lag, just to be like,
yeah, a little bit, just sort of anticipate it, and I'm not accidentally dying as much as I was in the beginning, where you know, I would be hit by a rocket that I just felt came out of nowhere. So I've gotten more comfortable with it, but
Is that because of playing on the base PS4?
yes, I've heard that it's better on everything else. Except, well, it's a little bit better on the original Xbox One. It's significantly better on PC, PS4 Pro, and Xbox One X.
huh.
Yeah. So if you have another way to play it, you should. But so what's unique about the game is that, as far as from other third-person action games, is that it's somewhat nonlinear. The building is open world, and by open world I mean it's still a building, but you will be doing some backtracking, and there are waypoints that are indicated on your map, but they're not indicated on your HUD, and the map is kind of intentionally hard to read. They want you to do things like actually look at the signs in the buildings, like everything is like, you know, maintenance sector this way or coolant tubes up this way. And so I found that when I pull out the map that I actually end up screwing myself, because I'm like opening it up, closing it, like, oh, which way am I facing? And if I'm like actually being aware of my surroundings, it's like way more, first of all, rewarding to find your way around. And you know, second of all, it's more immersive.
Right, it's not like having a GPS guide you. I feel like a lot of games do that now, where they are way more focused on what the minimap's going to tell you than actually showing off what they have in the environment.
Exactly, and that's something that you can tell that it's a response to games where it's just like, oh, I'm just going to follow the yellow marker. And I think a lot of games in general are kind of maybe starting with Dark Souls is what pioneered that, ending the hand-holdiness.
Looking at you, Fable. 2 and 3.
But so the combat, it's a third-person shooter. You do have telekinesis powers, so at any time you can just pick up pretty much any object you see that's of a reasonable size. You just hold R1 or the right bumper. You'll sling it to yourself, and then you'll be able to shoot it back at the enemy. There is a meter that refills rather quickly, which is your energy.
Sonic 06 fans will be familiar with that. You ever played Silver the Hedgehog's level in that classic game? It functioned the same way.
Okay, cool.
But probably way less good.
Way
less fluid.
So, like, one thing I also wanted to touch on is the sound design in this game is phenomenal. There's not a whole lot of, like, music per se, but there's always great ambient beats or sound effects as far as the telekinesis. It all sounds very believable. You get that satisfying when it's coming to you, then boom when you throw it, and it just sounds really, really good.
It's a great, like, little shockwave when you shoot it out. Like,
yeah.
Like a ripple. That's cool.
There's just, and the visual effects, just like when you kill certain enemies, the way they sort of just turn into this misty, psychedelic-looking haze.
That's cool.
And then there's so many particle effects. Like, I can understand why it runs so poorly on 6-year-old hardware.
Because there's so much going on.
There is a lot going on. The environment is huge. There's no loading once you're in the game. There is substantial loading if you die, which is, you know, it's half a minute. Like, it's not terrible.
We've become so spoiled now. Like, I remember, like, when saving a PlayStation 1 game would take like 5 minutes because it was doing that. Now it's just like this load screen's like 30 seconds and it sucks.
Yeah. And then next gen, apparently, no more load times. That's what they're saying.
I see that.
So the combat, it's a little dull at first, I'd say, for the first 2 hours once you don't have many tools to work with. But once you unlock a couple more variations on your gun, as well as there's a power you get about 40% of the way through the game that really kind of opens thing up. I don't want to spoil it, but it's the game has a lot of Metroidvania aspects. So where you're learning, once you get a new power, you're like, oh wow, now I need to go back there because now I'm going to be able to reach this certain thing, and it also makes the combat feel a lot more dynamic. So overall, I'm pretty darn happy with it. The performance issues aside, there are some times where I feel a little frustrated trying to find my way, but once I do find my way, I'm like, oh, okay, I'm just stupid. I should have figured that out. And just being someone that has been spoiled by waypoints over the time, so over the years, I need to acclimate myself into actually observing the environment. And the game has side quests as well, which are relatively hidden. There was one I completed last night that had a whole optional boss, and now has opened up several other sub-side missions. And I could have just skipped over that.
Right.
And I think it's cool that they are,
give you the option to
give you the option and reward you for your exploration and your extra effort. So
yeah, that's what side quests are all about. They
Yeah.
should be. I feel like a bunch now are just like, all right, go here, go there. Okay, talk to this guy. That's fine. Now go talk to that guy. All right, now go drop off my laundry. Go get the bread for the week. Come back. Where's my reward? It's a hug.
Yeah, it's always good when you have a game with super solid side content and where you just want to seek out and find out what's around that door.
You're playing a good game when you want to explore. You don't want to just be like, oh, I want to go finish this. I want to get to the next objective quickly. That's what I was doing in Bioshock Infinite when I played. I was like looking around. I know there wasn't really anything to kind of collect, but I felt like I just come like hot off of Skyrim. Was like, well, I'll look at all this stuff around. The environments were great, but there wasn't really any point in kind of exploring off the beaten path.
Yeah, Bioshock Infinite. I liked it, but not as good as Bioshock 1 to me.
I haven't beat it.
In Control, you need to add a zoom feature for the paper articles.
Oh, you think they're
for the collectibles?
You think they're hard to read?
Yeah, I mean, especially from where I'm sitting.
Oh, well, your
couch.
TV's farther than mine.
It's super hard to read. Like I could not believe there wasn't a zoom function for those collectibles.
So,
I'm like, I have to get up and actually. I mean, I can read them, but it's not easy.
They don't have like a little thing that's like next to it instead of it being on the paper. It's just like a text box that's like, oh, this is.
That would have been nice too.
Yeah, they don't have that. It's just
Resident Evil
straight
style.
up. Yeah.
So I'm like 7-8 hours in. You just played a little bit, Tyler?
I'm probably like an hour in. I just got the second object of power that lets you telekinesis things, move things.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's a cool game. Like now that I definitely recommend playing it, especially if you want to support single player games. I already see it on sale some places, so I hope that's not a sign that it's not doing well. But anyway, Kenny, you finally finished up Fire Emblem Three Houses.
Yes, I did. So I pushed through. on Saturday I was talking to Tyler about it, and I'm like, I feel like I'm close. And then we Googled it, and I'm like, all right, I'm 5 story chapters away from finishing. And I was like, all right, let me push through and finish it off. I finished it yesterday early in the day, and it was great. The story's not something completely like, oh my, like at least the branch I went with the Golden Deer. So they weren't. I felt like it was kind of almost like I could guess some of the things that were gonna happen. So nothing really caught me too off guard. So there was a couple twists that I was like, I wasn't expecting that, But for the most part, great game. Combat, but then I did too much grinding, so the game wasn't too hard towards the end.
Does it culminate in a really great battle that feels epic?
It really did feel slightly epic because I was
Oh,
I was so strong.
Gotcha.
That it didn't feel too epic. I think I lost one party member died on the last battle.
Huh. Okay.
Nice.
Because I was severely over leveled. I think the main commander might have been like level 45, and my main character was 53.
Wow.
That's a lot of more levels.
That's awesome.
So,
I'm excited to play this.
So you were what? Like, how many hours did it take you? Does it have a counter?
46 hours.
46?
Okay.
46 hours.
That's actually less than I've been hearing from other people. I've heard anywhere from 40 to 80. So is that because you're not doing a bunch of side quests, or?
I did all my quests.
Really?
Every little quest. So what it was most likely is that I didn't recruit enough. So there's a lot of side quests that most likely I didn't get to play because I didn't recruit so many people.
Gotcha.
So my first playthrough, I didn't do too well with the recruiting because to recruit, you have to increase stats. And I just was not doing well with managing my time. With trying to. So I was more focused on developing the people I already had than on recruiting other people.
Gotcha.
So most of my stuff went towards not increasing my stats to recruit people, but increasing the people I had so that they were like OP in battle.
Gotcha. Okay.
So people were like S ranked in Black Magic, S ranked in sword skills. Like by the time it was like chapter 16.
Gotcha.
Yeah, because I was just instructing them and just pummeling through, making sure that I got them to the master class that they could get to. So I was able to get almost every person I had on my team to the master class. So we had people who were Gremmaries, so Wyvern Lords, things like that. So it made the game a lot easier for me.
Cool. So you were playing as the Golden Deer.
Yep.
And you already started your second playthrough as the Blue
Lion.
Blue
Yep.
Lion. Okay. You gonna stick with that one, or is that just kind of like, want to mess with this?
I'm a probably play right through. So what I'm contemplating on doing is that because it's keeping on the counter going. So right now I'm at 47 hours because
It keeps the counter going.
with
Oh,
my
that's kind of
second
cool.
playthrough. So 47 hours. I put in already an hour and a half into Blue Line. I'm gonna finish them through, and then I will move on to the last house, which is the Black Eagle, and that's the house that has 2 diverging paths.
What?
I wanted to leave them for the last go about.
Jeez.
And because I know I know that Anthony is doing Black Eagle as well. So I want to let him finish it off and see.
It's gonna be a while. Don't wait for me.
I don't think I'm going to be borrowing this game from you guys anytime soon. Doesn't seem like.
I'm a slow player.
Well,
right?
well, it depends. Like if you want to borrow it and go to Italy with it, then I'm all for it because I'll have.
That's what I was going to say.
I'll have
Look at him. He's the wheeling and dealing.
I'll have a couple other ones, and that's a long game if you want to do the Black Eagle because it doesn't seem like Anthony's gonna do Black Eagle anytime soon.
No, probably not.
But yeah, it's a game that I would recommend for anybody to pick up if you like strategy games because the combat is very strategy focused. Like depending on how you move on the field, and because you assume when you go into every fight that what's on the field already is all the enemies, and at one point in time as you're progressing and moving forward, now you have enemies behind you. The commander's like, it's an ambush.
Oh, snap.
And then now you have 6-7 enemies behind you, and you don't know who you left behind. You might have left your healer behind, so to keep her out of like harm's way. And now she is in harm's way because now she has 6 attackers that send
They're about to stab her in the back.
Yep.
Huh. Well.
Had you played any Fire Emblems before this one, Kenny, or is this your first?
I did. I played one, but never beat it.
Gotcha.
I played one of them.
I think
the
they
Game Boy Advance.
Because I noted the what was it? I think it was like older ones that used to do that too, or not older ones, but like the newer-esque. They did like, the ambush, and it's like, right by like pretty much where you start, and it's just like, this sucks.
Yep.
But I definitely want to try to play it soon.
You should.
Yeah, make time.
Yeah. Anything new playing this week, or?
I started WoW. I played that for like a couple hours, but actually I have been.
You're playing the new expansion WoW, or?
Just it's like you can play through like level 20 now for free, but my account is like the Panda one, so that's like 2 expansions behind the most recent now.
Okay.
So I've just been doing that, but I mean I haven't gotten any end game, and like that's when all the expansions come in. So like once you hit like the level cap for whatever expansion that was, which I'm not sure what the Panda was or Mr. Pandaria was, but then that's when like stuff comes into play, and I know I'm not gonna get that far, so I'm like, I'll just do this for now and then have fun with it. But I have been playing a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh.
Yu-Gi-Oh
for the Switch, Duelist Legacy or Legacy of the Duelist for the Switch.
That's the remake, right?
Yep.
Or the
Yeah,
port?
they had it on I think it was Steam, PS4,
And Xbox One.
and Xbox One, and then they just ported it to Switch with like the newest like arc of the show. And I don't think I've watched any of the shows since like 5Ds, which was back in 2010, maybe not 20. No, like that was like 2006, 2007. But it's cool. It's cool to like play the game again, and there's so many mechanics that have changed. So I'm glad they offer everything from the very first to like the most recent. So they don't really throw mechanics that you don't want to play with unless you choose to.
What's your favorite trading card game?
Oh God, that's a question. I'd probably have to say it's a tie between Magic the Gathering and probably Magic. I mean, I play Magic the most.
Fair.
I think right now I play Magic, and then it used to be Yu-Gi-Oh. I haven't played physical Yu-Gi-Oh in years.
Okay.
But I used to have a lot of fun doing that. But Magic, I think, hands down.
Speaking of Yu-Gi-Oh! And trading card games, you can find on our channel on Thursday a special unboxing video starring this guy right over here, Anthony Dewart.
Yeah.
And Might become a regular thing. He's certainly got enough cards to last him a while.
I have a problem. I like buying booster boxes. Why not? I had nothing about being an adult and no greater feeling than just having a booster box and being like, these are all mine.
Yep. So that'll be fun to watch. I've actually never watched a card opening video before, so I'm excited to see what's in store for me.
Yeah, if you want to check it out, it's a starter deck one. I think it's the third of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Speed Duel series that they had. I saw it at Walmart, picked it up, figured I'd see what was inside. Came with 2 decks. It's pretty cool, surprising. If you want to see it, check more out in the video.
Sweet.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
All right, so Tyler, you've been playing some Bloodstained, as we all know, but give us an update.
So I've been playing Bloodstained and probably about 25 hours into it.
That's a lot.
And I'm on the final boss, and I can't beat the final boss.
Could you go grind and get some more goodies? And
I'm sure I could. It's just... Okay, so this final boss has like 2 stages. I assume this is the final boss because I read some guides, and from what I glanced at some point, it seemed like this was going to be the final boss. But there's 2 stages of it, and the first stage is a pain in the ass, and I end up using all my potions. And by the time I use all my potions, I'll beat her, and I'll go on to the next stage, and I'm like, what do I do now?
it's even harder.
Back-to-back bosses, baby.
I mean, it's not even that it's harder. It's just the grind that it takes to beat the first phase, and then when I get to the next phase with 0 potions left, I'm just like so overwhelmed.
So how many minutes does it take to get to the second phase?
Probably, I don't know, it's between 5 to 10.
Damn,
It probably feels
10
like
is a lot.
20 to be like, oh god.
No, yeah, it's probably like 3 to 5 minutes.
That's still a decent amount.
Yeah.
And how many times have you attempted?
I've attempted it probably more than 10 times.
More than 10?
Yeah.
Less than 20?
Less than 20.
Okay, so it's a far cry from Ishin the Sword Saint.
So, but I mean,
Final
I'm sure
boss.
there.
Oh my god. I don't even want that game is gonna be
I'm sure there are things I can do. It's just it's difficult because you're only allowed to have 5 high potions maximum in your
That's dumb.
on your person at a time.
I
And
can carry 50 whips at only 5 potions.
yeah, I know, pretty much.
And a bunch of shards, and I don't know where they're going. Shoot lightning, I should put it back.
I mean, and you can get 10 regular potions, but at this point, regular potions heal like such a small fraction of your life.
Yeah.
So
do you have a
they're not
familiar
even
that
worth
can
it.
heal you at all? Like besides the fairy?
No, the fair is the only one that can heal you, and then even that you have to have specific items in your inventory for them to use.
Do you have to pause that game to heal?
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, that's old-fashioned.
Yep.
But, okay.
You have to
insane.
pause, or you have to find a save point.
Yep. Sit on that cool leather couch.
And it's instant, right? Like it's not like you have to chug it, right? Like you.
Yeah, it's instant.
Yeah,
Thank
that's-
God. Oh man.
Yeah, otherwise the boss battles and things would not be okay.
No,
Gotcha.
Bloodstained, but with Monster Hunter regeneration. That would suck.
I'm sure there are things I could do. I'm sure there's unexplored areas of the castle. At this point, I've explored, I think, like 85% of the castle.
Probably some strong weapons in that final 15.
I mean, I have some pretty strong weapons.
Okay, you're
and
probably right.
It's just I mean, something that I haven't really dove into is like the crafting of food items, which every time you eat a food item, you get not every time, but the first time you eat a particular food item, you get a permanent stat boost. And I feel like I've only had like 4 or 5 different food items, just because I feel like the ingredients are hard to come by, and I don't know where like the ingredients are.
Okay.
And they could be something that you just have to grind for. Other things you have to find or purchase seeds and then grow them. I think like you give the seed to a farmer, then you have to wait 10 minutes, and then you can come back and.
This might be a good spot to find some ingredients. Kingdom Hearts fans will get that one.
Yeah.
Why didn't they make it that obvious?
It's like, okay.
I wish. There's some ingredients here.
Gore, sure, you should
So-
probably pick that bread off the floor.
We kind of jumped ahead to you being stuck at the last boss. Like, so where do you stand on the game overall?
It's a really good game. I
Okay.
really enjoy the game. You have so many different powers. There's so many different ways you can play the game. So many different types of weapons. I played most of the game with just a single sword, and it's not that like all swords play exactly the same, because they don't. Like all like regular one-handed swords, they'll like one sword I was using is like a wind sword, and it attacks really
love that one.
fast. but it has a lower damage output.
Mm-hmm.
And there was like another sword that's like an invisible sword. You just like can't even see the sword as you're swinging it. There's another one that like kind of like flings in front of you and then like flies back. And it's the same thing with like all the other types of weapons too. Like none of the items play exactly the same. So it's just a matter of finding like what you like and what you want to play through the game with, I guess. So I think that's really interesting.
So none of them feel super OP, like, oh, you got to choose this.
Not that I've noticed. I mean, the wind sword that I ended up using that for probably most of the game. And then I realized that I really did need a lot more damage output for like a couple bosses. So I ended up switching to like a two-handed sword, which is slower but did more damage, obviously. But then there's tons of weapons that I haven't even really gotten a chance to use just because I was feeling good using a particular weapon. I mean, there's like the guns and the whips and the lances and spears.
The whips are so slow. Like I thought I'd like using the whip a lot, but you kind of have to like, it goes back to old Castlevania 1 where if you jump and you got to like commit to your whole whip arc animation where you jump up and it goes whoosh, and you kind of like have to wait for the actual tip of the whip to hit like whatever you want to like attack, and then you're just committed to that whole animation, so you better know where you're hitting.
Yeah, and there has been a couple times where I had no idea what I was supposed to do next to progress in the story, that I had to look up a guide, which was kind of unfortunate because I really tried my best to figure out where I needed to go.
No shame. No shame, guide.
Yeah, there was like one point where I needed to go back to some tower and then use an ability to go back to the top of the tower, and then I needed to get, that gave me a piece of armor that let me walk through traps, and I needed that piece of armor in order to get anywhere else in the tower. And
Yeah, I mean, that I don't blame you there.
Very cryptic, yeah.
These days, we have too much to play to be stuck around walking around in circles for 2 hours.
yeah, so I mean, I was fine with it. I didn't mind looking up guides.
Yeah, I mean, and you're, in our years of knowing each other, I've always been the one that's just like, if you're having trouble, look it up. Like,
Yeah.
you'll be fine. And you always been like,
Totally
no,
advocate
I'm
of
not
it.
going to do it. I'm not going to do it. I hate it.
We'll figure it out on my own.
Oh, yeah. Who was the boss you were frustrated that you had to look? Oh, yeah. It was Sekiro. Yeah. Like, you were stuck on Lady Butterfly. And I was like, dude, just look up a little video to, like, cheese it. You get by it. And then you never beat her, did you?
No, I beat her.
Oh, you beat her.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Proud of you.
Word.
It took me a long time, but I did it.
So, like I mentioned earlier, were you all set with Bloodstained? I didn't
Oh,
wanna
yeah,
cut you
I'm
off.
good.
Okay, cool. So earlier I had mentioned that I had done a little impulse buy. I was at GameStop, just hanging out as I like to do, buying clearance toys.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I got some cool ones. I got a little Mega Man and Cutman
Hell yeah.
one, and what else? I got a Neo Cortex one, and a Ryu from Street Fighter.
Oh, is it like the Sony Amiibo thing?
Yeah, the Sony
Yeah,
Amiibos
that's
thing.
awesome. I didn't know you were collecting those.
Well, I just started it the other day.
That's all right. That's another new thing.
Yeah, so those are they're only $5 a piece.
Yeah, you got to get the Parappa one.
Oh, that would be sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah. So while I was there, I picked up Street Fighter Anniversary Collection. It's got 12 Street Fighter arcade games in it, and they're really good ports. No extra features added to the games. It's just straight up arcade mode, but it's got really faithful sound and visual representation of the arcade games. And I played through a little bit of Street Fighter Alpha 3, Street Fighter 2 Hyper Fighting so far, and those are really, really fun games. Like, I wish I was better at them, and after playing so much MK, it's hard to go back to the jiggle the joystick or jiggle the D-pad type moves as opposed to the input ones, which, to be honest, I greatly prefer now because I've spent dozens, if not hundreds of hours in Mortal Kombat.
There's a big learning curve to go back. It's, you can't sugarcoat it. Like, you got that good at Mortal Kombat, it kind of sucks. You have to learn like a whole different style for Street Fighter games.
And I wish, and I know that I don't blame it for this game, but even in the modern Street Fighter and Tekkens, that they did a little better job of explaining what some of those joystick movements that are actually supposed to be. Like, I get the ones that are quarter circle, and I get the semicircle, but the ones that are like jiggle it, or like go right to down, it's like, dude.
I haven't been playing that long.
Yeah, and so there's that a little bit of frustration, but I doubt I'm going to get seriously into them. I just like the fact that if you guys come over, if we have some game night here, it's something, I got it on disc.
Cool to play.
Yeah, and it was only $17.99.
Right.
Great.
Oh, that's a great deal.
Yeah, for 12 Street. I mean, it's just from
beat
a
that.
collector standpoint, just to have them. Yeah.
Plus the art's great too in the box. I love that box art too.
Yeah, it's pretty neat.
It's really nice.
Yeah. So that was the surprise. Hope it paid off. Okay. Kenny, anything else?
No, nothing else.
Moving on to boom. Tyler's asleep over at the wheel there.
Oh my God, the car's gonna crash!
I'm going to break people's ears, guys.
Sorry.
All right, it's Cruising for a Newsin', the part of the
we have
show
insurance.
where we get some stories together, read them back to you because we thought they were interesting or relevant in the video game world. So, first off, we have an unfortunate set of stories. Earlier on in the week, we had an indie game developer named Natalie Lawhead accused somebody named Jeremy Soule, who is the composer of the Elder Scrolls Skyrim, as well as Knights of the Old Republic and Guild Wars. One article referred to him as the John Williams of video games. I don't know if I would go that far. But he was accused of rape. And following that accusation, we also got one of my favorite games of, I believe it was 2017, A Night in the Woods, one of the composer for that game, as well as the co-creator and helper of development. There's only like 3 or 4 people on the team. He was also accused of, let's see if I can find the exact quote, physical and verbal abuse, and ended up dying a couple of days later. I don't think that they've been explicit about what was the cause of death. I think everybody is assuming that it was a suicide in response to the overwhelming guilt/shame of being accused and fired from his job. So as much as it's kind of, don't know what to say about it other than, to offer
condolences and
condolences to the family of
loved ones,
to the victims especially, and kudos to them for speaking out, even though it was not an easy thing to do. Once you do so, you put a target on your back for most of the, or I don't want to say most, but a lot of people to threaten you, to call you a liar and a bitch and all these nasty things. So, it was kind of a big story in the middle of the week that 2 somewhat prominent figures in the industry were accused of this. Hopefully, it's not the beginning of what we saw in Hollywood, where it was
Me Too.
People in left and right. Hopefully, it's not as widespread as that. I wouldn't be surprised if it is, unfortunately. But more on that sort of. Hopefully, not more on that as the weeks go on. But yeah, just a sad situation. 2 great games, of course. Skyrim made by thousands of people, if maybe not might be thousands. I don't know how many people are on that dev team, but the music is a big part of it, and now you'll have that little, or at least I'll have it in my head when I play it. Oh shit! But anyway, so there's that story. And moving on to something a little bit happier, I want to talk about Shovel Knight. All right, and you can find my video for the review of Shovel Knight on this channel. It recorded about 4 or 5 years ago. It's one of the best videos on.
So good.
Yeah,
Go check it out.
Yeah, it's
right
pretty
now.
good. Yeah.
Back in time. Woo!
So that game came out, I believe, in 2014 now. It was 14 or 15. There's about to come out with the final expansion, which is called the King of Cards, where you play as King Knight, who was one of the first bosses in the original game. But they're calling it like the biggest and most ambitious game they've done yet. So that's pretty crazy. But even more surprising is we got 2 more Shovel Knight announcements. A new game called Shovel Knight Dig. Looks like it's got some SteamWorld Dig influences. We're going to be going down, using that shovel, putting it to good use, collecting all these monies, bring them back to your base, maybe upgrade and get some powers. I'm just basing this off of how SteamWorld Dig works. But
Yep. No, that looked like it. It looked like pretty much SteamWorld Dig mashed with Shovel Knight, but a really handy, well worked in kind of like, all right, this Shovel Knight levels, but also you got to keep going down.
Mm-hmm. And Did you guys play SteamWorld Dig?
Yeah, I do like that. I was a
Yeah.
sucker for those kind of games since like Newgrounds days. I'd go on and play it as like a mine driller game. You're this like robot on Mars or whatever. You're this like little tank and you drill down, get resources, come back up for fuel, and, like sell stuff, buy stuff, upgrade.
Sounds just like it.
Yeah, I've loved those games.
Well, SteamWorld Dig 2 was awesome. I played that a few months ago. I mean, sometime in the last 6 months, and it was just a great Metroidvania. It wasn't randomly generated like 1, but that was a good thing because everything felt really. It was just super fun to explore. Excellent progression, just like you need a Metroidvania to have.
I want to check it out.
Okay, moving on. We also got another Shovel Knight game announced, crazily enough. And what is that one called?
Showdown.
Shovel Knight
Oh,
Showdown.
they're really cranking them out.
Yeah. So I mean, I've been wondering like, where is Shovel Knight 2? Like, it's been a long
Yeah.
time. Like,
They've just been adding to Shovel Knight, which is great. But I mean,
I know.
at this point, they could have.
And I'm gonna buy the physical release for Switch just because, just like I have it on PS4, I would automatically get it. But with the Treasure Trove, just being such an excellent value, and I'm not even sure if I think I do have Trevor Trove.
Trevor Trove.
Trevor Trove.
Trevor Trove. I got Trevor Trove. Yeah, Shovel Knight, Trevor Trove. I like that. We should do a commercial.
So this Shovel Knight Showdown looks like a Smash Brothers inspired 4-player arena fighter.
That's nuts.
2D,
Wow.
where you play as lots of bosses from the game. It's got a really colorful cast of characters. And that's really, I mean, you said, Tyler, that one was released or is going to be released in December.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be with the Treasure Trove.
It's with Treasure Trove?
That's
pretty
awesome.
What?
I'm pretty sure Dig is the only one that's not gonna be in the Treasure Trove.
Wow.
That's his own
That
thing.
is
That's crazy.
Is a serious Treasure Trove, which I believe is $24.99.
That's a bargain.
You already get the original game, which is easily worth that. You get the Plague Knight DLC. You get the Spectre Knight DLC. Spectre Knight. And then all this other stuff coming
Does
out
King
soon.
of Cards go with that too?
King of Cards is that, yes. So King of
That's
Cards,
crazy.
yeah.
That's a wow.
I know, it's nuts.
For $25, that's
And they're releasing new amiibos too.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, they are.
3 new amiibos.
I'm already shaking.
It's another $35 you gotta
Yeah.
spend.
All of them.
People are pumped about the amiibos.
Oh, dude, we're nuts. Amiibo collectors are freaking cuckoo.
But
Right,
then,
Kenny?
Yacht
Right?
Club's
I
also
only got
working
5.
on a,
You what?
I only got 5 amiibos.
I got one. I gotta say this one.
Technically 6 because I just remembered that my son's Skylanders Donkey Kong one is a Skylander and amiibo all in one. So it doubles. Doubles as both things.
Double trouble.
Yep.
You don't
What's,
have that one?
I don't have that one.
Slacker?
I didn't get Skylanders. I want to check it out.
what's the other game that Yacht Club is working on? It's
Might have missed that.
It's another 2D one I want to.
yeah, it's like another like ninja like side scrolling
like the
type
Messenger.
game.
Yeah, that's
kind of like
first thing
the
that came into my
Messenger.
mind.
I know Way Forward's making Shantae 5. They released that cutscene. The like
I'm not sure when it's
intro.
coming out, but I watched the trailer and that also looked cool.
Wow. Guess they have been busy.
I want to find it.
Well, we'll come back to it in just a sec while you look it up.
Oh, I got it.
Oh, you got it? Okay.
Got it on my bag.
Coming this winter.
Hee-hoo-ha. Sometimes it's cold outside.
It was easy to find. Oh, hang on. Cyber Shadow
Cyber Shadow.
is what it's called.
You got me at Cyber.
I like the shadow part.
And it's what, a 2D ninja?
So yeah, it's a 2D ninja side scroller. It reminded me a lot of The Messenger.
Katana Zero as well.
Yeah, The Messenger and Katana Zero. More so The Messenger probably.
That's cool. I like the Messenger style a lot more.
Nice. Well, moving on to our next story as we move along. Destiny 2 is adding a Fortnite-style season pass for Shadowkeep, where you're going to be able to grind for 100 levels, where you'll be learning or earning different loot along the way. So something to sort of just, chase. Even it's a battle pass. It's included with the Shadowkeep. So if you buy Shadowkeep, you don't have to buy another $10. But once the season ends, each season is 3 months, you will. So I was a little mixed on this. I was like, dang, I'm really going to have to spend even more money in Destiny 2 in order to remain relevant. Although I don't know if that's really true. I don't think that the Battle Pass is necessarily going to have like
Make
things,
or break items.
Yeah, exactly. So there is a gigantic detailed post by Luke Smith, who's kind of the spokesperson for the game, or one of them. You can look that up, where he just talks about where the game is going, Armor 2.0 as far as they're calling it. I thought about writing a synopsis of it here, but it honestly would have taken me 10 minutes just to read it all. So check that out. There's a bunch of kind of exciting stuff happening in Destiny 2.
Yeah, getting a lot of updates.
Is this the first expansion since they split off from Activision, or
It's the first full expansion. So what they did...
Do you think they're doing this kind of Battle Pass thing because they aren't with Activision, or?
It sounds like something they would have done either way. I know that they recently just came out and said something like people need to dispel the notion that Activision was some like evil overlord. Like we had our disagreements, but like we essentially were able to do most of the stuff that we wanted to. Like they made them adhere to a rather strict schedule as far as releases go, but I think they had pretty good creative freedom. I know that there's, of course, going to be some changes. I know that they're really going deep into the RPG elements of the game, just sort of like not, tiptoeing on, are we a first-person shooter, are we an RPG? Like, we're an RPG where you shoot. So they're getting really into the customization stuff. It's a little overwhelming to go back into, but hopefully they do as good of a job as they did with Forsaken, as sort of onboarding, making it feel fresh and new, and like I'm not totally lost, because what they did this last year is they had 3 different seasons where they would introduce a new game mode, maybe a couple story missions, nothing really cinematic like they've done in past expansions. And I think people were mainly mixed on them. People are happy with the game in general, but as far as the seasons and how they were doled out, I think it left people wanting more from at least me, from a narrative standpoint.
Well, if you don't want to get back into Destiny, you can get back into Monster Hunter with me.
Oh, yeah.
And then put it down a week later for Borderlands.
Yeah, right? There's too much coming out
There's
this
so much
month,
coming
dude.
out.
Like, you got Monster Hunter Iceborne's about to come out, and we got Borderlands, and we got Outer Wilds. Then it's like Call of Duty
And I got to play
time.
Vren.
Yeah. And then I'm going to Italy.
Whoa.
Crazy.
You're going to be broke.
I know. Yeah.
We should go to Italy.
Yeah. All right, so what do we got next on the list of games? So we got confirmation that CD Projekt Red is splitting into 2 teams, managing 2 separate major franchises, The Witcher and Cyberpunk, along with several independent development team, enables the company to conduct parallel work on several projects and smoothens its long-term release schedule. The company says this migration towards a dual franchise model, supported by several independent. Sorry, I'm losing my voice a little bit. I forgot to get a drink. So anyway, the gist of it is, thank you.
You're welcome.
Is that CD Projekt Red is splitting kind of Bethesda style. I'm going to go back and forth between Skyrim and Fallout, or with The Witcher and Cyberpunk, just like
I wish they'd take over Fallout.
with Fallout and Elder Scrolls.
This migration towards a dual franchise model supported by several independent product lines also permits optimization of manufacturing and financial activities, mitigates important risk factors, and makes it easier for company employees to seek professional fulfillment.
Okay, there you go. So I'm excited that The Witcher's not going to be done. We'll maybe see a little bit more of Geralt of Rivia. We are getting the new show on Netflix.
That'll be cool.
Yeah. So anyway, that's just a fun little good news story to round out the week.
And then the next game they have is going to be the Cyber Witch. the Witch Punk.
Witch Punk 2055.
Witch Punk 2043.
Witch Punk 1892.
That'd be cool.
I like
It's a
that.
crossover. It's just a...
It's the remake of that really bad game that was like one of the launch titles for PS4, The Order.
Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't hate that game.
I don't
Got a
play
bad
it.
rap.
Yeah, I just heard it.
It's still beautiful.
It looked amazing.
Yeah, I'm probably biased because I think I bought it for $10. So I was that's
fine. That's
I beat it in
cool.
5 hours. I actually went back and platinum, which took another 2.
That's good. Hey, trophy hunters.
Yeah, so it's good for trophy hunters, and I think it had a potential. So not terrible. All right.
Not great, not impressive.
Yeah.
XPlay gives it a 2 out of 5.
Yeah, something like that.
That's what they would say.
All right, so I don't think we have any questions on the mailbag this week. You guys have been slacking. Haven't been sending us your questions. You can feel free to do so either in the comments of the video, in our Discord, which you can find description in the video below, or you can send us a postcard if you have our address. Hopefully you don't. All righty. So anybody else have anything to add before we send this one off into the starry night?
No, I think we're good. I think it's about the time to wrap it up.
All righty. That has been the Level With You show. Thank you for tuning in this week. As always, you can find us on podcast services as well as youtube.com/c/levelwithyou. All right, everybody. Have an excellent week and stay level.
Aye, aye.